So some of us has an idea. So my screen is visible, right? Yes. So now I will discuss some crucial yet critical aspect of C programming, that is how this C programming will execute. Because this execution part of C program has some significance and you will find this significance while coding. So let's start. So I will start the concept from a block diagram. So whenever we write any C programming, so we know that we have to open one ID where we have to write some source code. So writing source code has an common aspect that we have to save this file with some name, and the extension of that file should be .c. Why it should be .c? Because so that compiler could understand that is this is a C source code. So after writing the source code in C, the next step will be the compilation part. So we need a compiler for that. So now concentrate on this. Here, the compiler is responsible for generating several files. Name of those files will be same as the source code file, that is A. However, the extension of those files will be differ. So now today we will discuss what are the different intermediate forms of the source code that can be transformed intermediately, and afterwards we will get the output. So please make a note here, one point. C compiler has the responsibility of generating files of the same name as the source code with different extension. So what happens actually when the source code is submitted to the C compiler? First the C compiler will check whether there exists any error or not. This is the first thing the C compiler will do. If no error is found, if it is absolutely fine, then the C compiler will create one specific file, and extension of that file should be .obj. So this thing you have to make a note. So just write it down that when source code is compiled by the C compiler, the first step is C compiler will check for an error. If no error is found, then C compiler will generate a file with the same name as the source code, but the extension will be obj. And the meaning of that obj is object file. So now source code is converted to the object file. So up to this, it is your first step. But what happens here, the problem is this object file is not executable. Means from this object file, I will not be able to see the output. Now what is my next step? Then I need the help of a person, and this person is known as linker. And this linker will take this object file and it will create a file with an extension .exe. However, that I have discussed that the name of the file should be always same as the source code. So it is a.exe file. So up to this point, you people may think, oh, it is a very easy step. First, we have the source code and then we have a compiler. Compiler will check for the error. Then compiler will create some object file. If no error is found, then linker will create a exe file. But here there is a twist. So what is that twist we have to understand? That is, linker cannot directly create executable file. Here linker needs someone. So basically here linker needs library functions. Means library functions. Now we have to understand what is this library functions. So in C, whenever I write C programming, you will find me writing that printf, scanf, this kind of thing you will find that I will write every time. So printf is for printing something. I will show this syntax to you. And scanf will take input, some input from the keyboard. So these functions are known as library functions. Why? Because what is the actual functionality of printf and scanf, we don't have to write. The inventor of C programming, that is Dennis Ritchie, has already written the code for printf and scanf. But what is the problem here? Please try to understand. So up to this, my point is this printf and scanf, this kind of functions are already there, already defined. But here the most important thing to understand is where it is defined. See, try to understand. C compiler has no idea about this functions because this functions is a part of C software, not a part of C compiler. So compiler has no idea what is the content of this function, means how these functions are organized. But we know that to run a particular source code, we have maximum dependency on C compiler. So this is the problem. Please try to note this point. So whichever inbuilt functions we have known as library functions, they are not the part of C compiler. They are the part of C software. Now, how we could make compiler understand that what is the meaning of these files? So then we need to take help of some directives which are known as hash include directives. So what is the meaning of that? These directives are very important because if I write hash include stdio.h, what is the meaning of that? Basically, this stdio.h is a library file. These are the library file. Please make a note. Here, some definition is already written. Now, my requirement is how to make compiler understand this definition. So for that purpose, we have to use this hash include directives. Means including stdio.h file means now I have an access to this kind of functions. So stdio.h is responsible for standard input output activity. So basically in one word, if you ask me what is the meaning of stdio.h, for me stdio.h is just a simple file. Name of the file is stdio and extension of this file is .h, right? And in this file we have the definition of this printf and scanf. So what the printf will do, what the scanf will do, this kind of definition is written in stdio.h. What I am doing, since stdio.h is not part of C compiler, it is a part of C software, so I am just using it. So using stdio.h means I am just including stdio.h wherever I write the source code. So after writing this line, now compiler will understand, okay, what is the meaning of printf and what is the meaning of scanf. So now here is the best part of C programming that you have to understand. So whenever we write some source code, please keep in mind after compilation, object file is created. Now linker does what? Now this is the point. Linker will take this object file and linker will take this library files and link this two things together. So linker will combine .obj and this library files together so that it could design exe file. So this is the first activity of the linker. that we have to understand. So after linking the object file and the library file together, now we get the exe file. And fortunately, this exe file is executable. Means by executing this or by running this exe file, we can able to see the output of my source code. But here there is again a problem. So up to this, is it clear? If you have any question, you can ask me. Anyone? Clear now? Right. So now we are going to discuss the next part. So this is very, very important. So now you people will think, okay, we have got the exe file. Now we are ready. Now we will get the output. But to get the output, now we have to understand one more thing. What is that thing? See, in computer, we have four types of memory. More precisely, we will discuss about two types of memory. One is primary memory and the second one is secondary memory. And we have cache memory, register. These are the other two types. But we will talk about today primary memory and secondary memory. So in case of primary memory, actually I'm talking about the RAM. And secondary memory, you can think of hard disk. So now, from today onwards, please make a note, try to understand whatever we write in our computer, and if we want something to execute, so we need the help of primary memory. So this is the most important point that you have to understand. If you want to execute some sort of programming, then you have to use your RAM. You cannot use secondary memory. This is your first point. But what is the second point? Then you can tell me that, okay, ma'am, you just write the source code, store it in RAM and execute it. But the second problem is little bit critical. What is the problem? The second problem is the size of the RAM. See, the size of the RAM is very small. We know that. So due to the small size, we cannot store our important programming codes into the RAM. We cannot use RAM for storage. So RAM is so essential and so small in size, so we have to use some other means for storing our code. So it is a general convention that whatever we write in form of code, we just store it in the secondary memory. So storing part is done into the secondary memory and execution part is done by RAM. So you people will think, oh, it is a very simple thing. I will store my code into the secondary memory and execute in RAM. But the question is why? Why we have to execute by means of RAM? Why not we can execute by means of secondary memory? Because something is stored in secondary memory, so I can use my secondary memory and execute it. So here the problem is, please try to understand this point. The execution task is performed by CPU or sometimes it is known as processor. So the problem is processor don't like this secondary memory. That is, processor never interacts with secondary memory. Always processor interacts with RAM. And this is the point why we cannot execute program sitting in the secondary memory. So the point is CPU is responsible for execution task and CPU can only interact with the RAM. So we have to store something in secondary memory because secondary memory is larger size, having a larger size, and for execution we have to use the RAM. Now come to this point. So this is your RAM and say this is your secondary memory and you are storing your program source code here. Now what we will do after storing, we will bring our program here and store it into the RAM. And then we will instruct CPU, okay, my program is stored in RAM, now you could execute. But please try to understand at one point, whenever we store something anywhere, it should have a starting address. Means, say this is my source code. In the first step, I am storing my source code in secondary memory. And in the secondary memory, we have a starting address. And whenever I am storing it into the RAM, it is also having another starting address. Starting address means the point of location. See, whenever we will build some house, so that house should have an address so that we could identify that house. So similarly, whenever we store something, we should have a starting address for each and everything. So our responsibility is to first to load the program in the secondary memory with some specific address, and then for execution, when it is needed to be executed, then only we will load it to the RAM and tell the CPU, okay, 2000 is the starting address of my desired programming. Now you start execution from this point and complete the execution. But again, there is a question, okay, how could I inform CPU that 2000 is the starting address location of my file into the RAM? So after research, I need another person who will help me out in that. And that person is known as loader. So basically, loader does what? Loader will load the starting address of my source code into the RAM to the CPU. So loader will load this starting address to the CPU, and then CPU will start executing. So basically my point is, the loader is responsible for executing, means basically loading the exe file into the CPU, and then CPU will help us to get the final output. So these are the very important steps that is involved while compiling the C programming. So this is the basic steps. So if you have any question, you can ask me. Right? No, I will tell you one very good question. I will tell you something about this concept. That is, say, the conceptually in computer science, whenever you have the starting address, na, and we already know what is the size of my source code. I will explain it later to you. But whenever you know the starting address, actually we assume that we know the entire thing. So the only thing CPU needs is the starting point. That is, I will tell you, that is, whenever I send you the link, meeting link, so I just tell you that from 11 a.m. we have our class. I don't tell you that my class will continue up to 1 hour and it will end up to 12. So there is no need of stating the end point. So please make a note. It is a convention in computer science. Whenever we are uploading the starting address of some source code, it means I have the entire knowledge of the source code. So it will keep on executing and it will complete the source code. And your question is something else. Yes, tell me. Yes. Right. So how could we deal with that, and why these addresses are different? Why not they are same, right? This may be the question of your. Yes, I know that. So this is a very simple thing. It is a part of operating system. See, first question is, okay, we know that loader is responsible, right, for storing the address from here to here. So you may have one question to, okay, ma'am, you have the secondary memory, fine. You have an address. The first question, very first question that should come in your mind, why this address are 1000 and 2000? Why not it is something else? Because please try to understand the first point. First, I don't know what should be the address. This is my assumptions because these addresses are assigned randomly. Now the next question will come in your mind: who is responsible for assigning your address? So the operating system OS is the master control program who will take the responsibility of everything. Means which source code will be assigned where in secondary memory, or which source code is assigned where in primary memory. This cannot be controlled by us. It is controlled by the operating system. And also which program is loaded where is the starting location of that, it is also cannot be controlled by a programmer. It is also controlled by the operating system. And one more thing, you can ask me one question. Now you tell me who is responsible for loading this content from secondary memory to the RAM. So we have another content which is known as lazy swapper. So it is a part of operating system. So I'm not discussing it right now. So am I clear to you? So each and everything, whatever is unknown to us, it is the responsibility of the operating system. As a programmer, we cannot take so much of this headache. So that's why we have created the operating system for controlling everything. So got my point? So if you have any other question, you can ask me because this is the most interesting part. So do you have operating system? I think in the next or after that you have operating system. So then I can explain it. So if you have any question, you can ask me. No, no, no. See, whenever you have written a source code, see, this is your source code, right? So this source code cannot be stored directly into the RAM, directly into the primary memory. Cannot be stored. Means when you click save, because it is decided by operating system. Why? Because the size of RAM is very small, right? So if I keep on storing each and every content in the RAM, so the responsibility of the RAM is execution, not storing. So I cannot load RAM. So whenever we are clicking on save now, it is actually storing on the secondary memory, because secondary memory is larger in size, and secondary memory cannot take the responsibility of execution. This is the point. So for storing purpose, first your source code will be loaded into the secondary memory, right? Then when you need it for execution means whenever you're clicking on run option, then only your code is shifting to secondary memory to the RAM, and then only CPU will help you in getting the output, because CPU don't like secondary memory and CPU never interacts with secondary memory. CPU only interacts with RAM. So what is the step? Load the source code into the secondary memory, and from secondary memory it will be shifted to the RAM when run command is executed. So please make a note here. This loader will perform its activity if and only if you just write the run command. So writing run command means you are clicking on run means now you need to load it into the RAM. So if you don't write this run command after up to compilation, up to this part will be happened. So this part is for running. So this is the main thing. So I think it is clear now. Any question? Mhm. Yes, yes, yes. Everything is kept into the secondary memory because yes, yes, and only the exe file will be loaded into the RAM. That is the point. So RAM only deals with the exe file. So yes, means now you need to execute it. Yes, absolutely. Yes, because it is larger in size, we have large storage. Because RAM is so important, please try to understand whenever each and every programming which is running in our machine, the only intention of that programs are to execute, to give us the output. And execution part can only be performed by RAM. But the problem is the RAM is smaller in size. So our intention is to keep RAM as busy as possible for only execution, not for storing. It is not possible. So that's why we have created this memory hierarchy: secondary memory, cache, and register, and everything. You will learn this in computer architecture, I think. So, this is the intention. So, if we do not have this kind of memory hierarchy, then our machine will be slow. And I think it is not possible for any program to execute at that point of time. So, this is the beautiful thing we have.